Hey everyone, it's Stephanie again, and you are tuned into the review of Married at First Sight, Season 8, Episode 6. So, last night was a great episode. It was a jam packed episode. So, let's just get started. We find the couples leaving their honeymoon and going into moving in together. So this season, for the first time, they have provided the homes for each couple, which is interesting. They provide the homes based on what they feel about the couple and their dynamic and what they would like. So it takes out the searching for the home, and they talk about finances, but it takes out the conversation around finances and in regard to purchasing a home, or getting the home for 6 to 8 weeks. And it really just kind of moves, like it fast tracks them. So in some ways I think that's great because they kind of miss all of that stuff and they get to just go straight into it. But in another way, I'm thinking, okay, that's a missing component because they're missing the dialogue that they need to have in order to figure these things out. But maybe they'll figure it out in a different way. But I enjoyed kind of watching them just kind of get to it. So we will kick it off with Kate and Luke. So first of all, Pastor Cal is like the MVP this whole episode because he sees every couple as soon as they get home, and he really digs in and he asks questions and he makes sure that they're on the same page and is really helping them as the expert should be. Like, this is what I think the expert should be doing in this whole experiment. So Kate and Luke, we know that the end of the honeymoon was horrible for them. Luke said that he was repulsed and felt like he was dead inside when he kissed her, and so we left them not knowing where they would end up. And most of us, and I read the comments, most of us are saying we don't see it working out. I still feel that way. Luke is presenting as if he is really interested in committing to the marriage and committing to Kate, but I really don't see how you come back from that. I really don't see how that changes. If they did change and they actually ended up together, what a hell of a story that would be. But right now, I don't get the authenticity from him that I get from other people who are authentic. I think that he wants to try his best to say, I did everything that I could, but he checked out long ago. I mean, I think he checked out at the altar. So I'm not buying it. I love seeing Pastor Cal visit them at their home and really talk to Kate and him, but we'll start out with Kate. When Pastor Cal interacts with Kate and she talks about the experience, that he really understood the significance of that. And I think we've had so much dialogue over the last week about what he meant and what he's allowed to say, and if it was a woman and if it was a man and what we expect and gender roles. And I think none of that matters with this situation. I think the reason we were all up in arms about Luke is because just from a decent human being level, it should have had more of a respectful interaction. That whole dynamic could have been more respectful. You don't have to be attracted. You don't have to be in love. You can be turned off. I mean, we've watched other couples on the show do the same, but there is just a little more respect for just the person on a human level. So Pastor Cal called him out, and I could tell he was kind of like taken aback by it, especially when Pastor Cal basically said to man up and do better. Here we have entrusted you with this woman, and her family has entrusted you and her friends, and like at minimum you can be a better man than you are right now, like a better person. And I love that he really listened to Kate and expressed the significance of how bad that experience was, and supported her in what she wants to do, but also said, listen, we're not going to force you to be a part of this experiment. I think he said that to Luke, but the message was, if you want to bow out, please do that, because we're not going to really allow you to treat someone poorly this whole time. I mean, for what? So I really enjoyed watching those dialogues happen. Luke says he's still in it. They come back together because he speaks to them, separately. And one thing I will say is, in the confessional, Kate was talking about the fact that if this was another scenario, she would have just been out, because she feels like, okay, this is not a great person, so I just would not. But now I'm married, so I'm going to try. And like, a part of me feels so bad for her because she is married, so she did make this commitment, so she's responding to it in a way where she should, because sometimes marriage will be difficult. Sometimes you will have to overcome things that aren't easy or that aren't pleasant and aren't fair, and you have to kind of work for your marriage. But I think with this specific instance, because they're starting out and they don't know each other, I give her so many kudos for sticking it through. I don't necessarily think she has to, but I give her so many kudos for reflecting what marriage is about, as much as she knows, a few days in, or what she thinks, and also what the experiment is about. But she doesn't have to stick it through. I'm definitely not saying that. Luke says that he's still on board, that he's committed. He brought wine to the new house because rightfully so. She was apprehensive to move in with him. They hug. I just feel like it'll turn into maybe a friendship. I would be so surprised if anything else happens. I feel like it'll turn into a comfortable friendship, but I don't necessarily see it going anywhere, and I don't necessarily get an authentic vibe from Luke at this point. So, we'll see. I really don't know what to say about them. We will see. I don't have high hopes, but I've been wrong before, not often, but I have been. So we will go on to, let's see, Keith and Kristine. So Keith and Kristine had a great episode last night as well, and they got to some interesting conversations. So they come back, they're both living at home. So she goes back and she gets to visit his house with his grandmother. I don't think they went to her house. If they did, I don't remember that. She basically canceled that. When she saw his room looking very prepubescent, she canceled that and said, we're staying at a hotel. So we got to see them interact and have a good time, and she was kind of making fun of his clothes, and he, here's the thing. This is the thing about prejudging. You have to be careful, because we all thought that when we saw Kristine, she was going to be the one who's going to be tough to deal with. And this is only episode 6, but, we just knew that, oh, Keith is in for it with this girl because she calls herself Queen Kristine. But she's actually very likable, and she seems to be very down to earth, believe it or not. And she seems to be very mature. She is the mature one. And so she's kind of like calling the shots a little bit. She is the one who's going to challenge him to, I think, grow and to do better, because she just seems to be a little bit a step ahead in life. Not monetarily, it's not that. She just seems to have a little bit more going because he has been pampered. He's been raised by grandma and mom and auntie, and everybody loves him, and he gloats about that, but that's going to be a problem. And we've already seen it. When we see them talking to Pastor Cal, he kind of laughs. It's so funny because the way he laughs is like somebody who's been married who knows, who can see like the train wreck coming, and not in like a ha 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 type of way, but it's like, you guys want to pay attention to these things because it's all good now 7 days in, but these are going to be things that recur. These will be recurring issues that you really want to nip in the bud. They start discussing finances and what he's capable of doing and what she's willing to do and how they're going to carry that load. And I love that Pastor Cal really talked about this, how she will get tired. Like, it's cool at the beginning, but she will get tired if she carries all of this. And if he comes in not being able to say, well, you know what, if you're going to be the breadwinner for this season of our life, and that happens in life, you may come in a great way and everybody's doing well, and somebody may lose their job or somebody may gain another promotion. You never know. So even if you have a setup, a particular gender role type of thing that you guys create within the parameters of your relationship, it can shift within life's, curveballs. So right now, she's going to be the breadwinner. He might, provide however much he can, but he's also kind of looking to her to say, you need to cook and you need to do all these things. And he's kind of proud of the fact that he can't cook and really isn't willing to try. So we see her kind of say, hey, are you gonna get, as she cooks for him for the first time, which he ends up loving, so I guess she stays. We see her say, are you gonna get in the kitchen today or tomorrow? And she's saying, listen, we will do this, but at some point you're gonna have to step up. And I like that she's gonna do that because our partners can really push us to be better people and to be better version of ourselves and to stretch and to grow. And she, if he will allow it, will be willing to do that. She says, we'll figure out the finances. Of course, she says, hey, I wanted somebody who made more than me. I probably would think at least as much as her. But she values the fact that he's in school and he's doing something and he's not somebody who's just content with where he is. So I thought they're in a pretty good spot. As long as they communicate, they're realistic, and they create a strategy of how they want to develop, then I think they are in a pretty good spot. And I don't see any like major red flags. Like, yes, the cooking thing is annoying, but I think she can handle her own actually. So I think she will be all right. When she has a problem with it, she will say it. And hopefully he will, release kind of the things that he's grown up with and has seen, and really try to make it their own rather than I grew up this way. And that takes us perfectly to Will and Jasmine, because the recurring theme for them is gender roles. So we watch them move in together, talk about how they both lived with other people. She's pleasantly surprised at his place, and I don't remember if they went to her place, but they talked about their exes and they talked about what they like. Something that's coming up for them, and what Pastor Cal mentioned, is where they are in terms of romance and intimacy. And she is very true to her roots, saying that she wants him to be aggressive and wants him to take the lead. And I think over time she'll probably become comfortable with doing that as well, but initially she kind of wants that. And Will is kind of a wait and watch type of guy. So but I like that he said in their conversation, because they brought it back up after they talked to Pastor Cal, I like that he said, I'm not your friend. He let her know that she is attractive to him. I wanted him to verbalize that though, because he asked her, like, do you think I'm attracted to you? And she was like, yes. First of all, she took a little too long, but I don't know, maybe it's just insecurity because he hasn't made a move. But I would have wanted him to say that. Sometimes we think these things about our spouse, or we'll say great things about them to our friends or coworkers, and then we forget to say it to the person who matters the most. Like, we forget to say it to our spouse. So I hope that his very chill nature steps up just a little bit, and just being more intentional about expressing how he feels to her. They have a pretty good dynamic though. I don't see anything major. I think the stuff that they have, the gender roles, is flexible. They're already working that through. It went from 50-50 to 60-40, and over time, and you add a child to that, who knows? I mean, life can change, and when you really get to know someone, they're starting out with their demands, after knowing each other for 7 days. Things change, people change, and when you really get connected, there's more opportunity for flexibility if both people are willing. So I like their dynamic. He has a dry, sarcastic humor that's really funny to me, probably because I have the same. And she has, like, she's able to kind of dish it as well. They have a very cute little dynamic, and they're building on intimacy. You see him touch her or kiss her, and she touches his face, or she makes sure to engage in physical touch that lets us know, okay, we're not brother and sister here. We are a married couple, and at some point we'll get it in soon. So I enjoyed seeing Will and Jasmine, and I think that they're on a great road. We thought the gender roles was going to be the end, and I knew it wouldn't be, and they're working towards that. So that's Will and Jasmine. Last but not least is Stephanie and AJ. So Stephanie and AJ were interesting to watch last night. AJ gave me everything that I thought he would. Last week, I know I went a little far and I compared him to a serial killer, and I don't mean that he is one, but if you saw the video last week, if you haven't, go check it out. But if you saw the video last week, you will see why I compared him in just the sense of being super regimented and kind of creating this facade that is really meant to sometimes distract and hide. He wasn't hiding anything last night. He was very snippy, very short, and we watch him really struggle with the change, really struggle with the challenge. So it's one thing to say, I can't wait to be married. I can't wait to have someone every day, and to cook for someone every day, and to eat dinner with someone. And okay, great. I can't wait to live with someone. And then you get all these things and you realize it's not like the movies. It actually requires work. It actually requires compromise, which is not always easy, because sometimes you just don't want to compromise. Sometimes you just want it your way, and it doesn't work that way all the time. So we watch him really struggle with that. He is very snippy. He is very rude. God bless Stephanie, because she really could have snapped at him at some point. That's not her character, but I think that at some point she will have some sort of breakdown, whether it comes through anger or it comes through tears, which I can see tears because she's already cried, or it comes through her checking out before she has a conversation with him, because I think that right now she doesn't know what to do. She's scared of him, because it's like a Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but y'all get it. It's 1 minute it's one way, the next minute it's a complete opposite way, and there is very little room for flexibility. We see Stephanie being flexible. We watch them really enjoy each other for the most part, unless he's having this snap that he does and then he becomes somebody else. But we see little things really trigger him, like she brings in something for the shower. He doesn't like it, and she's like, oh really, it doesn't, and he doesn't like it. It takes too much space. He doesn't like certain things. He has all these things here. Moving out of his place. I mean, he damn near didn't even want to move out of his place. Hello, you've been saying you want someone to be with, and I don't know. They're really going to struggle, and it's going to be, I think, because of him, based on what I'm seeing right now. We're starting to see why he may have struggled to be in a relationship before, because I don't think he was willing to give up the comfortable confines of his singlehood. He wants really somebody to just come and insert. If he could just insert it like a puzzle and it could be exactly what he wanted to be. She's going to eat here on this bar with me. I'm not going to eat dinner alone. I really want to know where that is coming from. The whole dinner alone thing, he harps on it. It's like a lot of pressure for her. He wants somebody on a certain part of the couch because no one has ever been there. But if you think about it, all these people have been single before. And if you're married or in a relationship, you were single before. And although, yes, you want to share your life with someone, this immense pressure that he puts on her to be this thing is worrisome to me. And it makes me wonder, where's that stemming from? Where was the lack from that you're so thirsty for it beyond what I believe to be the norm or the average person? So that's concerning. I don't know. At some point, something's got to give, and I hope, they presented very well in front of Pastor Cal, and I think the way they presented was authentic for the majority of their dynamic. The majority of their dynamic is like that, but it's not really the wholeness of their dynamic. And I hope that he is able to come back, or one of the experts are able to come back and really help him with these issues, because I was like, okay, I can see why he was single before. He was not really willing to step out of his comfort zone, and so maybe he did this as a challenge to himself. If I get married at first sight, I am not going to be able to get out of it, whereas maybe I've sabotaged every other relationship before due to my own issues, and we're seeing that. So it's a little concerning for me because it's going beyond just being inflexible. He's like mean, and I don't like that, because she's just trying, and that can teeter onto, I won't run and say that it could become abusive, but we probably wouldn't see that on the show, but I would not be surprised if his characteristics had the potential to do that in some capacity. Maybe not physical, but emotional and mental is just as bad. So it was just interesting to see, and I'm looking to see how things unfold, but they're gonna be tight, because he's very tight with how they unfold, when they unfold, and it's really, he jumped into this marriage wanting this partner. He's not really willing to behave as a partner. He is very much wanting someone to tag along to what he wants. So time will tell, but I'm not surprised seeing this, because I knew it. I knew it seeing it last week, the way he snapped at that producer. I knew it, and him even saying to the producer, or said it to Stephanie after the whole incident with the producer, that, he would use, essentially he said he would use more kid gloves with Stephanie because that's his wife, but other people, well, he's not using kid gloves this time around, and I don't think he even notices it. So I hope that she is able to challenge him in a way that will force him to look in the mirror. I always say marriage is a mirror. You see the good, bad, and ugly, whether you want to or not. You think you're compromising and flexible, and then you realize maybe you're not as much. You don't think you're a control freak, and then you realize you are. So I am hoping that he is able to look in that mirror and take some notes and make some changes. If not, it's going to be really difficult for them moving forward. So that's it. Let me know what you guys thought. As always, I enjoyed talking to you guys. Don't forget to click subscribe and click the notification button so you can get notified first when I post this video. And I will see you guys next week. Everyone have a great week.